Good afternoon, everyone. Kalla here. Welcome to my live stream. Glad you could make it today. And sorry for the slight delay in the start there, because my internet just did not want to stream for a sec there. Also, apologies for any audio issues caused by the fact I have a cold. But we're going to, I think, complete this Poirot game today. Given, because I looked up how many chapters there are, so we should, I think, make it through this time. So, last time, we discovered that the artist whose apartment we'd gone to that had been on fire was dead, poisoned. We then discovered that she'd been making forgeries. Some of those forgeries seem to have been made for the church guy. So we're now in a secret underground area underneath the church to investigate this forgery ring. And hello Nick, hello Drag, hope you're both okay. Right, shall we get into it then? Yep, good. The game is working. That's good. Similar painting to the penitent Magdalene. Poirot, it's over. You're going to look at the back of it. Okay. Good job, Poirot. Good job, Poirot. This appears to be a little busted.
Oh.
In every way, this looks like it could be the original. Which would be really terrible given this.
Oh.
Someone has quite ruthlessly taken an instrument across the painting. The back of the canvas is visible here. It looks like it was previously used to paint something that looks suspiciously like a Monet. So this is probably also not real then.
We have our third forgery. There is evidence of a much more modern painting on the back of the canvas.
Yeah, and I don't know much about him other than he's a famous art person. I also might not even have pronounced the name right. Also, is the audio okay? I don't need to adjust it again, do I?
Thank goodness. Don't know how I would explain finding the original in such a state.
Bishop Mountjoy must have discovered the painting that he received from Mademoiselle Courtsmythe was one of her forgeries.
And lashed out. Now it makes sense. He's been using this room to store his own private art collection. I can picture him sitting here, smug as anything, surrounded by stolen paintings.
What I find most unfortunate
is that not only does he deprive the world of beauty and joy from seeing these works, but he also keeps them in such dark and dank conditions, the old fool.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like a good place to keep art.
He's even having to light his candle clock to keep from drifting off down here. Such a waste, don't you think, Poirot?
Ah, one's opinions are now worth listening to.
I was only voicing my thoughts.
You have thoughts beside those of Mademoiselle Farquhar?
Really, Poirot? You still think so little of me?
When one exclaims such regard for a suspect in a murder investigation, it is hard not to think any other way and comment so.
You may not be so accustomed to the idea of showing, or at least having, some form of empathy for our fellow man.
There is a difference between empathy and lust.
And there is a difference between commenting and being rude and obnoxious.
I was not expecting Monsieur Hastings to be so sensitive on the matter. Perhaps this conversation is best saved for when we are not trapped together.
What was that?
What was it?
Just the bishop's candle clock.
One of those ones where it's got nails in it that fall out, huh?
I don't know about you, but I've had enough of this place. Let's get out of here.
But I've only looked at one thing, Hastings.
What are you doing, Poirot?
S'il vous plaît, un moment.
The bishop's candle clock has forced me to question everything of the murder scene that I previously thought I knew. We must return to Mademoiselle Court-Smythe's apartment.
Perhaps that is a job best left for you, by yourself.
Okay, apparently I'm not allowed to look any more around that cave, huh? The bishop's candle and nail alarm clock has me reconsidering the evidence at the fireplace. I must re-examine it. About the candles by the fireplace, wasn't it? And about how one of them was melted all the way down.
Huh.
Yeah, because there's a candle there and no candle over here. Something about the candles melting now feels odd to me. Oh, you know what I've forgotten to do? I've forgotten to add my Poirot mustache. We gotta do that. That's important. There we go. The mustache helps with the thinking. How else am I supposed to think like Poirot? Is it to do with how fast the candle would have melted?
Aha.
The sibling of the missing candle. I believed it to have survived due to its distance from the scorch marks, but now I am not so sure. Yeah, because I mean the general heat around here wouldn't be that much different, right? Between the two, surely. And then we have this. The necklace with the pin through it. I'll take it. Perhaps I can conduct a little experiment and recreate what really happened here. Are we thinking that the necklace was nailed to the candle and fell, like, at a certain time? With Bishop Mountjoy's candle alarm clock in mind, I must conduct a small experiment. I guess we hit use on that? I don't have a candle there. We should probably do that with the candle that has a candle in it. Maybe not. Okay.
Huh.
Yep, there is something I need to do first, and that's find a candle. Are we gonna go take one from the church? Don't think there was spare candles here. Don't think. I mean, given that this place was kind of a little bit on fire. I can't take the stub from there, so I'm assuming I need to go get one. Also, do we have anything to deal with here? Nope. See, we're just on to inspect Irene's apartment, but I assume that I need a candle first. Maybe I can get one from her neighbour. There is no need to upset my canine friend. I'm sure your owner will return soon. Yeah, the dog's not nearly as loud at the moment. I did just get an achievement for that though, so I'll take it. Am I not allowed to leave here? Maybe I do have to find... Yeah. I guess I do have to find candles up in the apartment, huh? The console table. Maybe there's something here.
Oh.
If only half the crate remains. Irene must be a great fan. Yeah, that's not what we're after though, is it? Aha! A box of candles! Survivors of the fire! Some brand new candles remain intact. I'll take one. Yay! Candle obtained. Let's look at the rest of the things though. The bottle is empty but smells strongly of turpentine. And then it was this as well. Empty bottle of champagne. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people drinking that champagne, right? Okay, now I have a candle, the necklace with a pin in it, and a match. Oh, wait, no. Right click to use. Candle. There would have been a candle here before the heat of the fire melted it. So now we pin this into it. Just like the nail on the bishop's candle alarm clock, this pin could have been pushed into the candle like so. This necklace could have been wrapped around the candle, something like this. As the wax melted and the pin fell, the necklace could have poured over the side, its weight eventually toppling the candle. Oh! Someone put this arson on a timer. they set it up like this. Well, so they poisoned her, and they could have done that. We don't actually have any idea what time that was. Poisoned her, she's dead. They set this up, set up the turpentine, and basically this will go off after they've left by pulling the lit candle down. Time to put this theory to the test. Hopefully without burning down the room again. Matches!
Maintenant.
Oh.
Yeah, a while after they left, exactly. Obscuring the true time of death. And the true cause of death. And the perpetrator.
I believe myself to be the greatest detective in the most prestigious police force in the world. But I have been duped and swindled, falling directly into the trap laid by the killer. And now I stand here alone, contemplating what is to come next. Monsieur Hastings was quick to make his excuses to retire to his abode and not return to the scene of the crime by my side. I hope there is not something further that troubles him. One does not need added strains at a time when steps must be retraced and a new timeline considered. Sacré. I have spent my time staring into the sun when deceit and deception has taken place in the shadows. A murderer remains free, but the truth of the fire eludes Detective Hercule Poirot no more, and soon neither will their identity.
Soon. Chapter 8, the investigation starts anew.
I cannot believe I allowed myself to fall for such a deceptive move. The killer knew I would ask for an alibi, and they knew how to cover their tracks perfectly.
Well, now they're going to need a far longer time span of an alibi.
Now, though, I have the upper hand. The killer believes that I have extinguished all avenues of my questioning. Unaware I know the truth of the fire. I wish Monsieur Hastings were here. I was perhaps too harsh with him. I know of his want for the same as I, the truth. But now I fear that I have lost him to my own tenacious demeanor. Now more than ever do I need my little grey cells working at full capacity.
I'm not sure my little grey cells are working at full capacity.
Monsieur Demire and Mademoiselle Babagna. I am glad to say that they both still have alibis, as the show had just reached its second act. I can be sure that neither was involved.
Well, I don't think Monsieur Demire would have tried to do something like that with Poirot around. He knows how good he is.
Mademoiselle Farquhar. She claims that she was in the dark room developing pictures. And even with this new discovery, her alibi stands. Monsieur Dryden can confirm. Monsieur Christiansen, one of my key suspects, drinking alone except for a brief encounter with Monsieur Demire. But Madame Allen can substantiate his trip to see her at the theater to apologize during the intermission. Which leads us to the good Madame Allen, on stage performing. Innocent.
Yeah, I mean, Madame Allen has the best alibi. A whole lot of people can confirm that she had no chance of doing this.
A side note, I must make an effort to see her production. From what I have heard, she sounds quite captivating.
Which means we're down to the bishop and the politician. And the curator. No. Yes.
The Honorable Bishop Mountjoy. His Compline prayers had not yet begun, but Mademoiselle Warbeck and he were together in what I can only imagine to be an uncomfortable meeting for them both. Her innocence has already been confirmed, although upon learning of how she has been treated, I would not have been surprised. Last but certainly not least, Monsieur Aylesworth, and the article in a newspaper documenting his, as some see, heroic speech amongst the House of Commons is alibi enough for the murder. And where are we left now? Every suspect seemingly as innocent as they were yesterday. But when one looks most innocent, that is when Detective Poirot is most suspicious.
Alright. Guess we're going to talk to Mr. Vermeer, who I assume must be up here.
Finally, a face I can trust.
Yeah, there's no way that Zacharia did it.
Everything all right, Poirot?
Because, like, given that he's seen Poirot solve a case, I don't think he'd try anything with Poirot around.
I'm afraid things could not be further from all right.
Don't tell me the famous Detective Poirot is stumped.
Stumped? No. Perplexed? Oui. Perhaps you can be my perfect distraction.
What's that you're reading?
I may not be the celebrated doctor that my father hoped for, but I still like to keep up with recent medical journals.
Medical journals, huh?
And what is the latest discovery?
Article about cocaine. Cocaine is an alkaloid extract from the leaf of the erythroxylon coca plant, which usually grows in South America. Its most available common form being hydrochloride salt, which can be taken orally, intranasally, or intravenously. The peak effect ranges from 1 to 90 minutes depending on the route of administration. Cardiovascular effects of cocaine use. The most common symptom in cocaine users is chest pain, and the most common cardiac disorders is ischemia and acute coronary syndrome, which can occur with all routes of cocaine intake. Other cardiac problems include myocarditis, cardiomyopathy, and arrhythmias. Cocaine increases heart rate, blood pressure, and myocardial contractility? All of which increase myocardial oxygen demand. With increasing availability, the number of cocaine users continues to escalate, with many finding that it can be considered what can be considered positive effects of the drug outweighing the potential and likely hazardous risks. Could the person who had issues at the event be taking cocaine? Maybe. He did have a heart attack. But we also know that because we found a snuff box with cocaine in it at the art museum. It's an identical snuff box to the box that we found at Court Smythe's apartment. So we assume it was hers. So was she poisoned or did she overdose on cocaine? Is the question. I mean, that could still be poisoned. She could have been poisoned with an overdose of cocaine, and they could have made it smell like almonds with just almond extract to make us think that it was a different poison. Or it's possible that the poison could have had bad effects with the effects of the cocaine in her body. So there's a lot of ways in which this can. I'm assuming that we are being shown this for a reason. So
This particular article is about the effect of cocaine on the user's body. I thought I liked to have a good time, but that drug, too much for me.
What makes you say that?
I wouldn't want my heart beating at the speed of a locomotive. Here, read for yourself.
speed of a locomotive, huh? Have you seen Monsieur Aylesworth since his heart attack?
I haven't actually. I gave him my office telephone number and said he could call anytime, but not a peep.
You sound surprised.
Well, he probably wants to keep his health issues out of the public eye. Hence me offering to help, but he seems to be just fine, surprisingly.
Which, yes, I think means that he was having fun rather than a medical issue. Well, having fun resulting in a medical issue. You question Monsieur Aylesworth's health?
Do you think there is a chance he could have faked it all? How those little gray cells of yours work sometimes. Amazing!
Using cocaine to fake a heart attack to distract people from the theft of the penitent Magdalene.
Please, my friend.
You're serious? Don't know why, but I suppose he could have.
At this point, anything is a possibility. I think a visit to Monsieur Aylesworth at the Royal Society of Art is in order.
The Royal Society of Art.
Mademoiselle Babagna, a pleasure as always.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Ah, she's here.
I'm afraid my pleasantries are to be cut short this morning. I have a most pressing matter.
And then later being involved with trading and duplicating the painting. Mm-hmm. Oh, his office is at the Royal Society of Art. In general, I see.
Just a moment. I'm coming.
What a great commotion coming from behind the door. What on earth is Monsieur Aylesworth up to?
He's trying to very quickly hide something before he lets you in.
Ah, detective. What can I do for you?
Could you spare a moment of your time? If you are feeling up to it?
Why wouldn't I?
You are recovering from a potentially fatal heart attack. I would not want to aggravate or upset you in any way.
Wouldn't you, Poirot? I get the feeling we are going to be upsetting him. Your movements on the night of Mademoiselle Gottsmith's death.
Ah, are we really going over this again?
Wait a second. His waistcoat chain looks quite a bit like that necklace, doesn't it? A chain and a circularish pendant. And I mean, something like this would have a pin with it in the first place, right?
It would help me clear up some discrepancies.
Very well. As I've said before, I was in the House of Commons addressing the bench, as you know. And then I was speaking with the reporter.
The editor, Nathaniel Dryden.
If you say so, at the news office.
Monsieur Aylesworth is sticking to his story. I did not expect that it would be easy to unsettle a politician of his experience.
You have not contacted Monsieur Demir.
And why would I? And why would I? Oh, to thank him for his help at the museum. Yes, of course. I've been meaning to send him a thank you gift.
One would think that thanking the man that saved your life would be further up your priorities.
Why are we going against a politician again? Because he's suspicious.
I'm a very busy man, as I'm sure you understand. And I don't know whether I'd go as far as saying he saved my life.
You had a heart attack, sir. Those have a tendency to be fatal.
On the contrary, had Monsieur Demir not been there with his extensive medical training and a man of your age, perhaps you would not be here talking with me today.
Well, yes. We did go through a politician in I as well. They're just suspicious people. And they tend to know how to talk, which makes it more difficult to get them. So I guess they are quite frequently used.
If Monsieur Aylesworth is not prepared to tell the truth, perhaps I can use his own pompous nature and guilt against him.
The nurse said herself that I had the heart of a young athlete. It'll take more than that to slow me down.
Well, I would not take that as a sign to start the sporting career. Merci, monsieur.
I find myself in a most problematic position. My associate, Monsieur Hastings, is nowhere to be found when I need him the most. There must be someone else that I can call upon. Someone to fill the shoes of Monsieur Hastings. For the time being, at least.
I want to replace Hastings for the time being. Can we have Zachariah? Or... I don't know, someone that we're pretty darn sure isn't the suspect. So, like, Madame Allen, maybe.
The obvious choice would be Monsieur Demir. But I wonder if he is suited to the task that is required.
The police officer. There's no way he wants to work with us. There is the problem. Well, let's go check with Zachariah. Maybe he's up for it.
Whatever you need.
Oh, no.
I must get back to my investigation.
What about Anastasia Baban?
Good morning, mademoiselle. My apologies for my earlier departure.
That's quite all right. Mr. Demir informed me of the facts.
The case has taken a direction I had not foreseen, and it now leaves me.
I will not stand here and listen to you wallow. How can I help?
Ah. This is who we're getting. I have a rather unusual request.
Go on.
I require a distraction. I promise you will come to no harm and...
By we would like to have Hastings, we mean we need someone to distract a politician while we snoop.
Who am I to distract and from what?
Monsieur Aylesworth, I need to gain access to his office without his watchful eye.
Detective Poirot, preparing to cross the line of law.
Not cross, merely tiptoe alongside.
I assume you have already devised a plan?
A requested tour of the Royal Society of Art building should give me appropriate time.
Then that is what I shall do.
The door has been left ajar, exactly as required.
Aha!
I could hear Monsieur Ellsworth fumbling around behind his door on my last visit. And combined with his hesitation to open his door to me,
Are we cracking another safe? I think we're cracking another safe.
I can presume he had something he did not want Detective Poirot to see.
Either something in here, or something in that bag, maybe. Or in a drawer. Office evidence. Speaking with Monsieur Demir, my suspicion has only increased. Could Monsieur Ellsworth have faked his heart attack? I must speak to him. Behind a book, yeah, that's also an option. We have wooden thump sound, something heavy and wooden fell to the ground. A glass rattling sound. Questionable noises in general. And him acting suspicious. So I guess we'll start with the bin.
Oh.
It would be careless to not dispose of anything incriminating, but not overly surprising. It's empty. Okay. What about this open drawer? One step closer to revealing the truth. Okay, there's a gun in here.
Oh.
One must be careful with firearms around, especially when left in an unlocked drawer. Yeah, it really shouldn't be in an unlocked drawer. It's what a gun safe is for. What is this?
Oh.
Ah, it's a chess piece. Ah, the missing queen. Such an important and integral part of one's force should not be so carelessly discarded. Yeah, there is the question of why he has a handgun in the first place. But there's definitely the question of why he has a handgun in an unlocked drawer. What's on this piece of paper? Oh no, it's this thing. A snuff spoon. A spoon likely from a set. ICS is engraved. Irene Court Smythe. Who we know has a snuff box with tobacco in it and a snuff box with cocaine in it. This is the chess set that the Queen was missing from. A beautiful chess set, although the Queen is missing. The White Queen specifically. Bookshelf, yeah. Maybe there's something behind the books, as you said. A collection of different texts. He is certainly well read. Ooh, a globe. Is this one of those ones that's actually a little bar set underneath it? Or rather inside it. Yeah, one would usually find such furniture is filled with a variety of alcohol. But I'm guessing it isn't this time. We have some connections we can make. Bookshelf, chess set to the missing
One
piece.
step closer to revealing the truth.
A fallen queen, almost as disastrous as a fallen king. The chess set was knocked over. Was that the wooden thumpy noise?
Hot on the culprit's heels.
How clumsy of him. Monsieur Ellsworth knocked the chess set over on his way to answer the door. Which implies that there may have been someone else in there that he had to sequester away. Because one doesn't often play chess by oneself. How did the piece travel that far? I mean, I assume it wasn't being played over there. It was being played closer to where the queen fell, I guess. Do we connect that to
I must
there?
take a
No,
different
wait.
approach if I am to uncover the truth.
It's something that doesn't involve that, because there was still a 1 before that came on. So we've got a glass rattling sound, a bookshelf, the globe. Globe to the glass rattling sound?
I should not be surprised by
Yep.
my own skills of deduction.
Monsieur Ellsworth moved the globe, causing the bottles inside to rattle. So it is full of alcohol. So the globe moved. This needs to be connected to something because we've still got 1 connection. So when the globe was moved, the chess set got knocked over?
This will not get me any closer to my goal.
The globe being moved to the questionable noises.
Where is the sense in that?
The globe being moved to... acting suspicious?
The evidence suggests something else.
Oh, to the it's over to that chess set being knocked over node and not this one.
What a revelation.
It's possible Monsieur Ellsworth was up to something by the bookcase. So, what was that you said, Drag, about behind a book? I want to look at the bookshelf again.
Huh.
Nope. Groove on the floor. The bookshelf moves. Secret door, secret door. There is a man-made groove on the floor where the globe was positioned. All right. Can we slide the bookshelf? When I return home, I shall check every bookshelf and crevice of the house. It appears almost mandatory to have a hidden room. What this one withholds, I can only imagine. The wicked and banal smell of English tea.
Put your hands up and step away from there.
Monsieur, there is no need.
Enough of your phony pleasantries. Let's see what the real police have to say.
About
The
you having a
first thing
gun?
they would notice is the politician aiming his revolver at an officer while they are conducting official police business.
I'm sure they would agree. I have every right to protect myself from a foreign intruder.
If you were to lower the gun, perhaps we could discuss the situation we find ourselves in.
You may have authority in your own country, but not here. Now, explain yourself.
Explain yourself. It appears I must choose my words carefully here. Okay, we have. What is your plan now? You have an officer of the law, a visitor to your country, held at gunpoint in your office. Well, we have. I encourage you to call the authorities. Perhaps they would be interested to take a look around themselves. Or I'm sure the newspapers would be enthralled to hear the story of a politician that faked a heart attack in the name of insurance fraud. Ooh. 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 Right, okay. Pompous, arrogant politician. How do we play into his hands? Maybe we try and get him to tell us what the plan is. I think that, right? What is your plan now? You have an officer of the law, a visitor to your country, held at gunpoint in your office.
You don't know what you're talking about.
We have, if that is true, why am I here? There are no victims to your crimes, you still have the chance to end it here. Or there is no coming back from what may come next if you don't drop the gun. The first one? Yeah. If that is true, why am I here?
Enough! I need a second to think about all this. How has it all come to this? No, it's not my fault. It's...
It is not too late. Your intentions were good. Scotland Yard will look sympathetically at...
If you had just left that fool Hardwick to it, we wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have to do this.
I have done nothing but remain honorable to my oath to uphold the law. It is Monsieur's choices and actions that have brought us to this point. And he must accept responsibility for what is to come.
Poirot, are you all right?
Hastings!
All the better for seeing you, Hastings.
Did he just knock him out with the door?
I was worried I was going to miss him.
Your timing and accuracy could not have been more perfect.
What do we do now?
We take our leave.
And what about him? Will he be okay?
He shall be fine. Although I am not envious of the sore head he will awake to. Come, there is much to tell.
Behind the bookshelf. But I never.
Monsieur Dryden, how are you?
Detective...
Poirot.
Yes, of course. What can I do for you?
Is Mademoiselle Farquhar working today?
She is, but not here, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I guess we don't get to see what's behind the bookshelf yet, anyway. I'm assuming that the real penitent Magdalene is behind there.
Do you know where she is?
Yeah, you see, we want someone with a camera. We want a newspaper person to go looking back there, right?
She said something about heading back to the museum.
Would you allow us access into your dark room?
For what, exactly?
Forgive me. I recently inherited a number of belongings from a deceased relative, including an undeveloped spool of film.
I'd like to help, but there isn't anyone here that could develop them for you.
I am more than capable, and I'll leave it tidier than when we arrived.
In that case, knock yourselves out. I've got a meeting to run to anyway. I shouldn't be longer than half an hour or so.
Pardon. Where has this confident and daring version of Monsieur Hastings been hidden?
We all have a hidden side, it's just our own choice of when to show it.
So, our first step is.
Don't tell me there is something the great Detective Poirot doesn't know.
What are we developing?
I must concede that photography is something I have little experience in.
Lucky I'm here then. We need to start with a tray filled with developing fluid. Next, pour the fixer fluid into another tray and then add the photographic paper.
I have a newfound respect for those that make such activities look so simple.
Let's just wait until we see the results. It shouldn't take long.
I shall use my time wisely and see what truths this room may hold. Or is Hastings actually developing some undeveloped film, and we're just using that as an excuse to look around in here, huh? A radio.
Ah.
Music can make even the most laborious tasks more manageable. A window. Obviously covered.
Aha.
The window is painted shut. Well, yes, because this is a dark room. It needs to remain dark. Photo paper. Used specifically in the development of photographs. Photographic developer. In a tub, I guess. A hat. I don't think we need this, but Mademoiselle Farquhar has a hat that looks almost identical to the one Mademoiselle Court Smythe wore to the gala. I knew I had seen that kind of hat somewhere before. Some trays. We need those too. A tray for liquid relating to the development process. Covered under the sink.
Ah.
What have we got? Unlabeled bottle. No label. Infuriating. I will never understand how people can work in such amateur fashions. And a second unlabeled bottle. How is one to know what is inside if it doesn't have the appropriate information? The answer was staring me in the face. Apparently. Light switch.
Oh.
The lights must remain off when developing photographs so as not to damage them. Right, that's the light. I think that's no, that's the radio we've already looked at. All right, use the trays. Right, we need some developer fluid in it. Perhaps the bottle of development fluid is what is required. Voila! Is that it? This is for producing photographic prints. I believe this is for producing photographic prints. We have a use button over there. Does this need paper? Perhaps the photograph paper is what is required. One step closer to revealing the truth. So we've set those up, we've set this up. Let's talk to Hastings then.
Have you found it yet?
The unlabeled bottles.
You want the photographic fixer?
And how would one know it from another?
It smells like ammonia. Handy, I suppose, when you can't see much in here.
Smells like ammonia, huh? Gross. Bitter almonds. The distinct smell of potassium cyanide. Ammonia, just as Monsieur Hastings said. Mademoiselle Farquhar has access to the same poison that killed Mademoiselle Court Smythe. One does not believe in coincidences. What's the point of labeling if you can't see anyway? I mean, it still seems like a good idea, but I suppose if they're two liquids that smell very, very different. We must discuss Mademoiselle Farquhar.
We've already been over this, Poirot. I don't want to argue.
I have no intentions of continuing our previous conversation. What we must address now is her potential guilt.
She didn't steal the painting, though. We know that.
Her guilt in Mademoiselle Court Smythe's murder.
Mademoiselle Farquhar could be our murderer. Would Mr. Dryden not have seen Miss Farquhar leave? I mean, if she had the radio on, he'd assume that she was still in there, right? No. The hat, then? Okay, I need to find something else.
Merci, monsieur.
We've actually got another thing in the office evidence thing. Bookshelf in the groove on the floor. There we go. Oh yeah, we have the fixative now, we can put it in the tray. Potassium cyanide and photo fixer.
Okay, I think that's everything. Oh.
Is there a problem?
There shouldn't be, but there must be light coming in from somewhere.
Is that not the point of a dark room? That it will allow no light in to damage the photographs?
We need to find where the light's coming in from and damaging the prints.
You continue your work, and I shall find the curious light source.
Light coming in from somewhere. Must be over here somewhere, right? Because everything else is getting red lights except for over there. Radio. Do I need to interact with the light switch?
Mm-hmm.
If I am to see what surrounds me, I must illuminate the room. Or unilluminate it. I mean, the red light is fine, because the red light doesn't affect it as much. Right, so it's over here at the window. A little crack. The window merely appears to be painted shut, but it has been opened recently. Here, a gap. The window looks out onto a back lane. Yes, she'd have left the radio on to make it seem like she was in here the whole time, skipped out through the window, and gone and done a murder and come back. Perfect alibi. A trusted handkerchief, perfect to patch up any gaps of incoming light. So now we can talk to Hastings and tell him about
Monsieur Hastings, may we talk a moment?
I'm in the middle of developing these. Can it wait?
I'm afraid not.
Mademoiselle Farquhar could have exited the dark room via the window.
Mr. Poirot, you are a genius.
Did Mr. Dryden say he never heard anything happen? Well, I mean, we've got the radio.
Mr. Poirot, you are a genius.
And I'm guessing, Drag, that the very dim red light doesn't affect it in the same way that that zoos will have very dim red light used to illuminate the habitats of nocturnal animals, so that, like, the public can still see them, but it doesn't actually affect the animals because it's still dark to them for some reason. No, that's to do with how animal eyes work. That's going to be nothing to do with photography. I've never used a darkroom. Would Miss Colsham not have spotted Miss Farquhar entering the flat? The hat! Yes, it looks almost identical to one that Mademoiselle Courtsmythe wore. Miss Colsham said she can barely see who people are through the spy hole. So she would have just gone, lady, hat, yeah.
That would never have even occurred to me. I've got a lot to learn.
A zoo I used to go to when I was younger had an entire walk-through bat exhibit that also had a lot of other, like, cave-dwelling animals in there. So...
Look, this photograph is just about finished.
What a lovely family portrait, Hastings.
Is that?
It appears so.
And what has she got in her hand? That can't be the same cigarette case.
The cigarette case that was taken from Mademoiselle Farquhar's luggage on our voyage here. It appears Mademoiselle Farquhar had a much closer relationship with Mademoiselle Courtsmythe. I would say they...
are sisters?
Cousins.
Cousins. Close enough.
Oui, monsieur. Hastings, I must thank you.
For what? Allowing myself to be enticed by Miss Farquhar's feminine nature.
For saving me from whatever Monsieur Aylesworth and his revolver had planned.
If it wasn't for me licking my wounds, you wouldn't have been there alone in the first place.
And if you were, and not at the Courtsmythe estate, we would never have made such revelations.
Oh, right. So Hastings picked up some photographs from the Courtsmythe estate. That's where Hastings has been. We didn't have that explained to us. I feel like there've been a bunch of parts in this game where something should have been explained, and the game is assuming that we know what's going on. So it's like, why do we have photos to develop?
You are one of the most honest and authentic fellows I have met. You cannot allow a misguided moment of red-blooded male instinct to taint that.
You have never let yourself fall to the wicked ways of the fairer sex.
No. And that is a day I cannot even fathom.
With Hastings' help at the Cotsmythe estate, something I would have liked to have considered, we now know the reasoning behind Mademoiselle Farquhar's brutal actions towards her own cousin.
We now know the reasoning behind Mademoiselle. So, is it because Mademoiselle Farquhar isn't getting money or something? Is she mad about that? What did Hastings learn? Because we haven't been told.
The circumstances around the murder need no further consideration. But the location of the missing Benedent Magdalene still frustrates me.
I mean, I think it's in the secret room behind the bookcase that we haven't looked in. How could Miss Codsmythe have had the opportunity to access the restoration room? So, Miss Farquhar must have pretended to be her on the balcony. Maybe. Or... yeah. Because they're related, so I guess from a distance they look similar enough.
A moment of peace before one's little grey cells must ponder how Mademoiselle Cotsmythe made it from the museum with the painting in tow. Ah yes, Hastings had something for me. An invitation to Mademoiselle Cotsmythe's exhibit. Even after the truths of her crimes and personal betrayal, Mademoiselle Warbeck still feels it within her for a final send-off. Perhaps Mademoiselle did not leave with the painting at all.
And it's hidden on the back of one of her own paintings inside the museum. Yeah, Irene hid the Penitent Magdalene painting behind one of her own paintings.
Poirot, there you are. What are you...
On this occasion, there is no time for pleasantries. We shall finally bring the mystery of the missing painting to an end. We must return to the scene of the initial crime, the Royal Edward Gallery. Is everyone present? Please ask them to convene in the exhibition room.
Is there something you're not telling me?
I'm sure there's several things he's not telling you, or as the audience. Yeah,
All will be revealed.
just like the fact that we don't know at all what you found out at the Cotsmythes. I mean, we can make assumptions.
Messieurs et mesdames, thank you for joining us here today.
What's this all about? Yes, my time is rather valuable.
Your time is rather valuable. Yeah, we know.
I thought everyone was here to see the exhibition.
I'm all for looking at some real art, as long as it's not all hers.
I understand the frustration and hostility that most of you must feel towards her. For some, even...
Hatred, loathing, disgust.
Betty, please.
Even after everything, you stand here and defend her?
I'm not defending her. If anyone should hate her, it's me.
Perhaps you should move on.
In this room is where it all began. Or at least, that is how it appeared. We are all aware Mademoiselle Cotsmythe was behind the painting's disappearance. But it was not a moment of greed that drove her. but rather a well-orchestrated plan that involved most of you tangled in her web of lies and deceit.
All right, we all know why we're here. Maybe you can speed it along a little.
Maybe you can get some brains in your head, Detective Inspector.
At the Detective Inspector's request, I shall forego the series of events that led up to the theft of the penitent Magdalene painting. Perhaps a fitting place to begin would be with the death of Mademoiselle Court Smythe.
If that's going to get things moving.
You are all aware of the fire and murder that took place at Mademoiselle Court Smythe's loft apartment.
The fire that she started after having one too many.
No. As I said, get some brains in there.
That is where the difference between desire for the truth and the actual truth go their separate ways. Inside Mademoiselle's apartment was the penitent Magdalene painting, or at least a forgery. One of 4 produced by her own brush. The fire was set purposely in an attempt to destroy evidence and hide the true nature of her death. Poison.
What is this? Mademoiselle Cotsmith's portrait of herself? I think perhaps the title may not be as accurate as she herself believed. Portraits of Prince. Anyway, I should probably just need to talk to people. Is it someone specific? No, it's just Olivia findings. So we're talking about the poisoning. Should we talk to who we think poisoned her? So, Florence. Oop, nope. Come on. It brought up a thing for a second. No, there we go. Slightly further over to the left.
This is all going to make for some story.
What part did Miss Farquhar play in the theft of the painting? Yeah, she took photos of it to aid in the forgery. Yeah.
Deals were hatched, forgeries were created, and promises were broken. Mademoiselle Court Smythe used a mask of deception and authenticity to betray you all. She allowed for you all to see and know only what was necessary to complete your part. Except for one.
As much as I'm enjoying this show, any chance we can get to who killed her?
Yeah, we're working on that.
You shall have to wait only a moment longer. As there was only one accomplice left, and perhaps the most important.
Perhaps I should have started with everyone else.
Not only her aid in the museum, but in the construction of the forgeries. Mademoiselle Farquhar's deception began before I had even left the shores of Belgium.
You were part of it, the whole time.
Taking us all for fools.
Okay, so that only covers that. Right, we do get to go talk to everyone else. Let's just start with
You know where the painting is, and who killed Irene.
I do. Evidence tampering.
Mademoiselle Warbeck, do you remember the words you used when discussing your career?
No, I mean, yes. You're taking it out of context.
On the contrary, Mademoiselle Court Smythe threatened your career by involving you in the theft. The exact context you described.
I wouldn't kill her, though. I couldn't.
You claimed the key to the restoration room, did you not? You continued to deny your involvement with the deceased. A relationship that was nothing more than misplaced love.
You think I don't know that now? I knew it had been her that took the key from my pocket. But when I confronted her...
Behind bars, that's where she belongs.
Give it a rest, old man.
She can't speak to me like that.
I mean, more people should speak to you like that.
Before you continue riding your high horse, Your Grace, perhaps one should consider one's own actions.
My actions? How dare you? You're making a mockery of me, the Church, and God himself.
I'm only making a mockery of you. You're making the mockery of everything else.
It is you that makes a mockery, and I'm sure God will forgive me for saying so.
Yeah, let's go straight to him now.
I have dedicated my life to serving God. I have no need to be involved in any of this.
Theft and embezzlement.
The pieces you had commissioned by Mademoiselle Court-Smythe, which hang on your church walls.
Why are we even standing here listening to this man?
Has this got anything to do with, frankly, anything?
I can assure you, Detective Inspector, the Bishop's relationship with the deceased is more than I imagine we all thought possible. Business partners.
Mademoiselle Court-Smythe's forgeries would be hung on the church walls, while the originals were sold on the black market to lace your own pockets.
You have no proof of these accusations.
Poirot, the penitent Magdalene.
How could one forget? We have already discussed one of the multiple forgeries, and found amongst your hidden collection the second. Mademoiselle Court-Smythe sold you a forgery that you believed to be real, and upon learning of its fabrication, you lashed out, destroying it. One should not allow oneself the arrogance to consider themselves the smartest in the room, especially when they have already fallen foul to another's lies and deception.
I love this. One should not allow oneself the arrogance to consider themselves the smartest in the room. You mean like you, Poirot? I'm pretty sure you consider yourself the smartest in the room.
I am sure theft and embezzlement are questionable enough in God's eyes.
Who should I go for next? Yeah. The politician.
I know things got out of hand, but it was you that broke into my office in the first place.
What crime did Aylesworth commit? Insurance fraud.
There still remains one missing forgery. The image of the honorable and distinguished gentleman that you present yourself as has gone on long enough.
We should have talked to the other guy with the forgery first.
It may seem like an alien concept to you, but we English, we take great pride in how we present ourselves.
A man that takes great pride in purchasing a forgery and attempting to claim its monetary value on insurance?
How long are we going to entertain this man's twisted fantasies?
So that's what was behind, that's what was behind the bookcase then. Another forgery.
Poirot, can we move this along?
While searching the main hall for clues, a snuff box was found, full of cocaine. And after speaking with my good friend, Monsieur Demire, about the effects of cocaine on the human body...
Recent studies have discovered that the use of cocaine and other such stimulants can put a tremendous strain on the human body, including an increased heart rate.
Oh, preposterous! I would never do that!
Your heart attack became the perfect distraction, while Mademoiselle Smythe was able to slip into the exhibition room and remove the painting from the wall.
Faking a heart attack is pretty low. Even for a politician.
Monsieur Hastings.
Once the painting had been confirmed as stolen.
And Monsieur Aylesworth had bothered the detective inspector enough to show he had nothing to do with its disappearance.
He would get to keep the original and claim the insurance money. He was going to have his cake and eat it too.
I'm not going to stand here.
You'll stay right where you are.
A stolen painting, timed perfectly with his crossing of the aisle in the House of Commons. All designed to raise his profile, just in time to announce his desire to be a prime ministerial candidate.
Ooh.
I wasn't doing it for me. The poor and the needy. I wanted to give them a voice.
By doing shady shit?
I have never heard a more self-righteous claim for breaking the law in all my life.
How am I meant to help those that really need it unless I'm in a position that can really bring about change?
How wealthy are you, Mr. Politician? Because, there are ways. Let's talk to our definitely
It all ends
not
here,
suspicious
where
people.
it began.
Well, yeah. Just so that we can cross them off the list.
Poirot, the penitent Magdalene.
Speak to the detective inspector.
I know you have a flair for the dramatic, but I do have a job to do.
Right, so anyway, let's speak to Johann, because he's got the other forgery.
Haven't you caused enough damage?
Haven't you caused enough damage? What crime did Mr. Christensen commit? I mean, the theft is worse than the affair, right? Actually, did he steal money? I don't remember if he stole money. Okay, he did. He did.
Haven't you caused enough damage?
So, theft is the war crime.
Madame Hélène, the famous actress and performer, your story is one I learned with a heavy heart.
Look here!
When you overheard the conversation between your husband and Mademoiselle Smythe at the gala, your suspicions were confirmed.
I did everything to keep you happy, but it was never good enough.
It began with an infatuation, but turned into a relationship. With the money stolen from your wife, you planned on running away together.
So that's why you took it. You coward.
She manipulated me from day one. She used me. She used her.
Oh, just keep it shut.
Perhaps for once, you should listen to your wife.
Speaking of your wife.
I wonder how many other hidden skeletons are going to appear.
Right. Here's the police guy. So do I need to play where is the Magdalene hidden? Now, can I Can I get to the paintings over there? Sunflowers. An interpretation of the famous painting created by the artist Vincent van Gogh. I have no idea if that's actually how you pronounce that. And I'm sorry if I butchered it. I mean, I'd assume the Penitent Magdalene is under that one. We also have Nature's Power. Interesting. Maybe it's under here. I just had a Steam achievement for delivering my findings flawlessly. So a figure stands peacefully on the shore, watching the chaos of nature before them. I wonder if Mademoiselle Court Smythe considers herself as that figure.
Mademoiselle Court Smythe manipulated everyone. But that does not excuse the parts that you all have played.
Poirot, the murderer. Tell us now, or I'm marching them all down the station.
Of our suspects, all guilty in some form or other, only one committed the ultimate sin. Monsieur Christiansen, a lover, jilted and tossed aside from a life promised together. Mademoiselle Warbeck, another that was promised her heart only to become a second, caught in Mademoiselle's web. Monsieur Aylesworth, anger that a foolproof plan backfiring. Bishop Mountjoy, a third, sold the idea of an original painting, livid at the thought he had been tricked. Mademoiselle Farquhar, trapped in a partnership where you did not receive what was owed to you. All with motive, but lacking opportunity. Until the realization that someone had used a timer to set the fire. Isn't that right, Mademoiselle Farquhar? Our true relation to the deceased. Cousins, standing to inherit her entire family estate.
You don't understand. It wasn't like that.
You decided to poison her with potassium cyanide, a chemical often found in photography development, via the cork of a bottle of champagne. Wearing an almost identical hat to the deceased, you were able to disguise yourself as her and be seen by the neighbor.
Thus disguising the actual time of death.
Leaving her body lifeless in her own apartment. You tried to cover your involvement in both the forgeries and the murder by destroying any evidence. Incredibly clever. Your nefarious plan setting the fire almost tricked even I.
Did you really just praise her for starting a fire?
For setting it on a timer? I feel like we played another game recently where something was set up by a candle timer. It was Great Ace Attorney, I think.
On the contrary, it was the deception behind the fire. A timer was used, allowing for Mademoiselle Farquhar to be seen in her office as she slipped in and out of the dark room window.
I didn't want to kill her, but she gave me no choice.
She gave you no choice. You planned and executed a brutal murder. She was your cousin.
A cousin that has controlled me for years. I couldn't escape her.
She held you captive? I did not see a prison cell in her apartment.
No, of course she didn't. Emotionally and financially, I was her captive. I was a struggling critic, but she taught me how to stand up for myself and get what I wanted, what I deserved.
You were aware of her scheme all along?
Not at first. I didn't know she was selling them on the black market.
But even when you did find out, you didn't stop.
There was always a reason I couldn't. And what money I did get, she would hold for me. I couldn't remain under her control anymore. There was no other way.
Mademoiselle, There is always another way.
All I see is the student becoming the master.
Detective Inspector, perhaps it is time that Mademoiselle was escorted to the police station. The truth has been revealed, and Mademoiselle Courtsmythe's murderer will pay the price for her crimes.
Wow, the detective inspector got out of there fast with her, huh?
There is something you're forgetting, though.
The penitent Magdalene, which I assume is behind the painting, is behind the self-portrait.
If you think for a moment that the location of the original painting has slipped my mind.
Because, I mean, the composition of this is relatively similar.
Go on then, where is it?
I assume it's behind a portrait of Principal. Because they're both portraits. Nope. Okay, it's Nature's Power, which is the one that I got the achievement off of.
In this very museum. If the original painting was to find its way into her portfolio, it would be returned to her after her exhibition has concluded. Meaning,
It would be delivered to her on a plate.
exactement. She prepared one of her picture frames and made sure it would be in the restoration room.
What on earth is he doing?
You've got to be kidding me. It would take too long to remove the nails from the frame and hide it, surely.
The nails were sawn down, creating the illusion of being used correctly, when in fact the backboard was easily accessible. Hidden perfectly behind what Mademoiselle Courtsmythe deemed to be her masterpiece.
I never doubted him for a second.
Messieurs et Mesdames, the penitent Magdalene.
Well, detective, you've solved both the theft and murder. I am rather impressed.
Finding the murderer and solving two thefts would have been far more impressive.
Well, yes, that's an extra theft, Poirot.
Two thefts? You already have another case?
There was the theft of the cigarette case. That's still been in my little grey cells section for a while.
You have forgotten Mademoiselle Farquhar's missing cigarette case.
Oh, of course. Do you think Miss Farquhar lied about it going missing after all? Perhaps it really was worth something.
Mademoiselle Farquhar is far from an honest woman. Lies tripping from her tongue at every turn. But if our motive was indeed to fake theft and claim the insurance money, she would surely not have let it lying where Mademoiselle Babagnan claimed to have found it. Mademoiselle Babagnan's motive is now clear. How she pulled off such a cunning theft still eludes me. Something Hastings said has my little grey cells fired up. Nothing is ever quite what it seems. I suppose we are all forgeries or counterfeits in some form or other. Could Mademoiselle Babagnan have pulled the wool over my eyes in a similar way? I must return to the evidence from the ship with this new perspective.
Ooh. Why would Miss Babagnan have stolen the cigarette case only to return it? Yet, in order to get invited to the gala. Because Mademoiselle Babagnan is investigating stolen paintings. So she needed to get in with the right group in order to be able to do that, so...
It is you that should be happy, mademoiselle. With no effort at all, you were able to save the day with barely a second thought. You turned a stolen heirloom with a thief and a victim into nothing more than a misplaced item.
A case of being in the right place at the right time.
I do not believe in coincidence. You were where you were meant to be. Had you not boarded when you did, you would likely have not been invited to the gala at all. Or been able to be within touching distance of so many beautiful and historical pieces, including the silver mantle. One thing I have learned during my time here in London is that people portray a version of themselves. One to be seen or be met, and another that remains hidden from the world.
What are you trying to say, detective?
That there are some that wear a mask of authenticity. That perhaps, under different circumstances, I would have had the pleasure of meeting a different Mademoiselle Babania.
Will you be leaving London now?
There are a few small matters to settle before I leave. Mademoiselle Farquhar is now in the hands of the Scotland Yard, where she will stand trial for her crimes.
You really do believe in the law, don't you?
If you do not believe in the law, madness and lunacy will ensue.
And everyone should be punished for their crimes?
I believe that we should be held accountable for our actions. No one man is above the law.
Or woman.
And you, mademoiselle? Are you to leave London?
There's nothing more for me here. I hear Paris is quite beautiful. Perchance our paths should cross again.
Perhaps under those different circumstances.
I look forward to it, detective.
Well, that's that then.
Oui, monsieur. The cases are closed and Mademoiselle Farquhar will shortly be behind bars.
What of the others?
Judging by the detective inspector's glare at Monsieur Aylesworth, he will not be escaping the law. And Bishop Mountjoy. Once news spreads of his connection with the black market, I would question his attendance come the Sunday service.
I was hoping at least someone would get a happy ending.
Monsieur Hastings, you have been by my side throughout this investigation. Without you, the guilty parties, would not be facing the consequences of their actions.
I helped where I could, but it was mostly you. I know that.
What you may not know, and I would kindly request you keep to yourself, is that I consider myself somewhat of a...
loner.
I would not go as far as that. But it appears you understand my sentiment.
Good thing I was around to save you from a gunman.
I fear I shall not live that down.
I'll maybe hold on to it a little longer. Not many can say they've saved the great Detective Poirot.
The great Detective Poirot. As much as I admire your formality, I think we should look for something more familiar, accustomed to our new relationship.
Our new relationship?
I have seen the benefit of friendship. Connecting with someone that can be trusted and loyal. Someone that shares an authenticity not only in themselves, but in their beliefs.
And that's me. Detective Poirot and his trusted friend, Arthur Hastings.
It does have a certain charm to it, n'est-ce pas?
It does, doesn't it? Da-da-da! And we're done! Roll credits. Case over. It was fun to spend time with our good friend Hercule Poirot again. Even if there was some weirdness to the game a little bit. Like I feel we missed something, so did some things in the wrong order. 9.5 hours to solve? Sounds about right. 9 chapters. Fairly reasonable amount of time there. The little grey cells have triumphed again. Yes, they have. Which means that after the new year, we'll be starting on a different detective game. I'll have to put up a little poll on that one. Hey Hunter. Yeah, I'm sorry, we're just finishing up now. We just got things done. And I'm letting the credits play because I feel it's important. All these people who worked on the game do need to have their time. How are you doing though, Hunter? Yes, as I was saying, yeah, we'll have a poll for what the next detective/mystery game is. I've got a few things, a few possibilities. I'm not sure which one to go for yet, so you need to buy a Thai Pokemon booster box. Interesting. How many languages is the Pokemon TCG even in? I think it's quite a lot. I have a friend who always buys packs in different countries. You're assuming we're going to have 2 streams next week? Yep, 2 streams next week because next weekend is the beginning of seasonal travelling. Then yes, there may or may not be one between Christmas and New Year. It's gonna depend. It's gonna be it'll be unscheduled if it does happen. So yeah. So there also won't be a stream over New Year's weekend either, because I won't be around my own house. I'm looking forward to January when I can maybe actually stay in my own house and not go places. I've been so busy travel-wise for months now. Oh, your aunt is Thai. That's cool. That's cool. Right, I think we're getting to the end of these credits. I think we're done. Yep. Yep, there isn't anything post the credits, so yeah, we're done then. So, thank you very much for watching. If you're new here and if you enjoyed your time, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can also follow me on social media, which is linked below. The streaming schedule gets posted both over there on social media and over here on YouTube in the community tab. And there'll be a new schedule up later tonight. The next scheduled stream will be tomorrow, Monday, and given the results of the poll this week, it looks like you guys are most interested in the new Pokemon Violet DLC, so that's going to be tomorrow's stream. So I'll see you then or another time. Once again, thanks for coming. And this is Kalla signing out. See ya. Bye bye.